Guys, and welcome to the month of Aquarius. So Aquarian energy is the 11th energy, so this is going to be very important what kind of goals we set this month. You can see different segments of your life. What is your journey? What is happening with your family? Where is your prosperity lying? What you should be doing to increase your chances of looking good, and what is, like, for example, residing in your love and marriage house. And if you guys want your private reading, and if you waited for a special with me, this is the time. So basically what's happening right now, it is upgraded. So the regular readings, which usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to turn around in a week. So you're going to get a price of a regular, you're going to get a rush reading. If you order a rush reading to get it within or under a week, you're going to get it within 3 days. And if you order an urgent reading, which is usually 3 days delivery, you're going to get it within 24 hours. So just book a regular reading or rush reading or urgent reading, and that's going to be upgraded. So guys, you can check the deals on my website, and let's not forget my Cat Tarot X spread is on special still for $50, so you can look at that. So in any case, visit www.cattarot.ca and look up the video. So without much further ado, let's jump into your monthly reading. Hi Pisces, welcome to your January and February, mostly February post-eclipse reading, and it is kind of like really interesting thing. So let me just like start with underlying energies that I actually see here. You having the world reversed. Something is still in the past, even here is not shifting, the full reversed. And you're having the Tower. Well, seemingly this is kind of like really weird. I have a feeling this is sort of like a homework. You're just being kind of like pushed onto. Like, guys, whatever is not built properly, do build it properly. You have to clear certain things from the past, because it is a time to move into the new cycle. So let me tell you what you have. You have full reversed. Then you have 9 of Cups, 7 of Cups, 5 of Swords, Knave of Swords in the central position, then 3 of Pentacles, Ace of Wands reversed, and then Ace of Cups, and then 8 of Swords reversed. Now, I have to notice how much of the air you have. You have like 4 out of 9 of air. But you also have lots of cups, which means it's going to be a really interesting period. You will simply kind of like go out of your element. You're going to feel kind of like really solid in your element, but I think this repair over here that needs to happen will happen in the mental sphere. In particular, what I see over here, I see that you guys, or some of you, have been involved in a situation that kind of like is still holding you stuck, because I'm looking at this kind of gypsy cards, and it's kind of like getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I kind of like want to get one of these, like, I mean, few of these, and I'm getting like 7 of these instead. So you have here sweetheart, you have jealousy, you have letter, you have fortune, falseness, and visit, which kind of is coming on clarification on this world reversed, why certain things are not evolving. But then again, I'm seeing here there was a maybe attempt at a second try. Maybe there, like, this is definitely all telling me about that, but like almost like looks like you wanted to be a chosen one between 3 people maybe, or extra person lingering over. And what maybe happened is even if you kind of like were the chosen one, this was not a good resolution for the situation. Because look at here. This person, this key, or the person in the situation is like so immersed into, hey, I'm important. Hey, I'm on top of the world. Completely oblivious. This is kind of like emotional intelligence. Oblivious that the others are hurt. Right? How can you celebrate victory? Oh, I won $1 million and somebody else is starving next to you. It is like really that something in the situation kind of like resonated on this level. Either was a third person, or somebody really stepped on you, or somebody was stepped on in the situation. And I think you got stepped on, because like you're usually very sweet, but you're not that sweet that you're going to allow things to be just forever going on in the most ridiculous ways. Your card came out here in this deck is called past lives, meaning because you're the 12th sign, and sort of like in how astrology is viewed, Aquarius is considered the highest sign of all, even though you're the you're the sign number 12, and that's because you're considered that you're already transitioning. You are already like not interested in the matters of this world. You kind of like don't care. You just like want to kind of like exercise your own spirituality. It kind of like move forward, and this is kind of being confirmed in this reading. Blessings. So just to give you a heads up, not much to really worry, but there will be lots of issues in this period of time that will be setting new stages for your future, guys. So to reiterate, there was something in the past maybe where you were involved, and that kind of involved a third person of some kind of jealousy. You may have even been the one who were chosen in this situation, or maybe you were the one who kind of like didn't even understand how your actions are affecting the other people, right? Somehow that didn't really work out, right? Because the ace of I mean, these two guys are really my preferred couplehood, but one is reversed. So my favorite ace of wands, usually it's showing this big bat, basically very phallic, and this is why I like this better, because it's an old trunk that is like now having this like new budding out, new life coming out of it, and so vital that you can even kind of like sit on it, enjoy on it. This definitely is to me basically a second chance. Somebody's getting a new lease on life. But in your case, maybe that happened and it just like shut down immediately. Did you ever try to kind of light a candle and it's a wind around? You can even kind of succeed at doing it, and it kind of like shuts it down entirely. That situation somehow didn't really take you apart. Usually you react really emotionally, but somehow maybe that's why I'm thinking it could have been you who were on top of the world, or some kind of situation. Maybe you were the one chosen, feeling on top of the world because of that, feeling fortunate, kind of good news. But then soon later you realize that situation is not exactly situation that you really want to participate in. It looks like something fell apart. Now you're moving in the next stage. Like when you have the Knave of Swords in the central position, it is basically telling me that there is like absolutely need for self-truth more than anything else. Discovering, understanding who you are, what your needs are. So that's what I said this month, giving that you have this air that goes almost like an arrow. Look at this. That lighting that goes down, almost like goes here, and reminds me of the Magician card. It could have been somebody you were involved with who forgotten to tell you certain things. Maybe even the negotiation of relationship happened of some kind, but they forgot to tell you the importance of the other person. And maybe this is not the importance to them in terms of emotion, but maybe it was father or mother of his or her children. So somebody they cannot just like erase or eradicate. Or maybe the situation got so bad that you just couldn't stand and you were cringing, just like, I mean, touching this person because they are touching somebody else. And it's kind of like fine line between the possessiveness and attachment and love, right? And like we all have to kind of decide this. And you guys chose love. You're having both 1 and 9 over here. And 9 of cups. So that means like you are really trying to go, you're big dreamers. Like I have a dream. I guess, I don't know what Martin Luther King was. I think he was Capricorn because they just declared his day. But simply it sounds like Pisces to me. Somebody who kind of like has this like lofty dreams. I just like really want this new thing. And I think, guys, for you, somebody may be really coming in your life. And this time around, you will kind of go about this differently. You're kind of putting your needs first. You're saying, look, I better be pampered. I want a milk and I want catnip and cat grass. Just give it to me. Pet me. And then I'll think about it. This is not this situation where you're sort of like oblivious. This is just a situation where you kind of like need emotional nourishment. But while you're sort of like speaking your own truth. This card, however, can mean a little bit of too much element in it. Sometimes, you know, and that's what I'm warning you, it is like right next to this card, it definitely tells me lack of emotional intelligence. Try to review if and who it was that kind of like blurred something out that kind of was very hurtful. And maybe this hasn't been noticed in the entire situation, but it did make an impact on you. And even though maybe it was a temporarily relief, oh, it's me kind of a thing, then you're realizing, okay, what you're getting yourself into. So you guys are going in a completely different and new stage. You will, however, before you get there, need to repair certain things. You will need to look into, because these are like final stages. You're like in stage 16 and 21 over here, and 2 aces. So something wants to push forward, but it's still holding you from this like full development. You're also having like 19 here. So literally you're like so close. Be very careful that this kind of like loose mouth doesn't push you back in a stage where you're going to actually delete all these efforts, because you have so much love to give and you're becoming a huge receptor for love. Because whenever I see this card, and it's a complete nonsense when somebody tells you this is a wish card, I more or less see this like as antennas, right? You have one antenna. I'm always thinking of the snail, you know, how he has like little 2 kind of like prongs. So one is up, sniffing around, looking around. Hey, who is out there? But this, like really, really having the full emotional impact out there. But this is like first and foremost, like every 9 is learning what makes you happy, what makes you emotionally content. You have to figure out which are these 9 things that you need in order to feel comfy. And these are not like huge, mega, giant, like some people say, bigly things. These things are just like, hey, I need somebody who gives me comfort. Hey, I need somebody who is holding my hand. I need somebody in whose eyes I see the spark. I want to be happy and relaxed in a person's company, and so on and so forth. Literally, there are 9 of them. You have to figure out which ones. And then start to dream. Start to dream about what kind of person do you want. And do you want somebody who's going to bring you power or security or adventure? It is like simply the personal taste, right? Because I'm seeing this is going to relate to certain actions from the past. You may have had partners in the past that have kind of repeated the pattern. You would meet a new person, and a new person would be exciting and so much fun, and you loved everything about them. 2 years later, you're not talking to them, you hate them. So what went wrong? And again and again and again. And then you're finally getting it. Hey, it is actually not them. Yeah, sure, it is them on some level. But what all these people have in common? Me. They have me in common. And maybe I was suppressing saying things and just told them when it was too late, and then it was like explosion. It was just like a big, you know, verbal diarrhea coming out. or maybe I didn't enforce what I really need, and I will continue on this path with a partner who actually was not meant for me. They were very nice, but they were not for me. And then when you push this kind of like forward, they are trying to get their needs met and nothing happens. So this is really calling you to kind of establish this and remedy this, because neither you nor your partner can be happy, and hence these kind of situations may have happened. So you don't kind of continue meeting the same person, working on similar issues. You actually start being fresh. And I think this is why this card is telling me about the honesty about yourself, and this is why I see these cards as well, saying knowing and forbidden fruit. And I think, and I mean, plus this is you over here. So now I cannot not to notice that in this other deck you have this flower of life, which is not exactly, flower of life is, I believe, about 6,000 years old. Like you have these concentrated circles or intercepted circles, right? And it is like kind of like universal design. And then we have these circular patterns over here as well. And then an apple. And sure, in the Bible, the apple always tells us that story. Well, you know, excuse me, Eve enticed Adam and he took the apple, etc., etc. But I think more or less this card here is saying about us and how do we really react? Maybe you were too good. Maybe you never went after the forbidden fruit. This is definitely saying, look, you know what? Temptation is temptation. So are you going to do it? Or maybe temptation was what got you into trouble. So there is like some way of some kind of blockage. And there are definitely patterns from the past. Because flower of life is, as I said to you, the oldest design and pattern to everything in basically universe, right? Oops. And I can't wait to put this like geometry in my own cards, right? So it was first found, I believe, in Egypt, right? On the pillars of the Zirion, right? In Abydos. The flower of life is regarded as a basis of all creation and all sacred patterns, all sacred geometries. Like this is base, 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 base. And it symbolizes these patterns that we have in the nature. So when you see this, it would be really good time for you to meditate with what are you made of? What do you really know? Because there is a card in this deck that is called psychic, right? Because when you see the circles, I'm thinking like these two cards are really connected, because you are here for a reason. You are created for a reason. Everything around you is for a reason. You are coming to this channel for a reason. You have to hear certain messages over here, because it's almost like a fabric. When you have a dress or whatever, sweater, if you have a hole on it, you fix it, or you discard that kind of like garment, right? So here is saying like it's this repair time that is happening, that you need to understand how many people before you needed to be here for you to be here, how many interactions, and what basically fluke is that you are the one chosen. So think about everything that you do and feel and think, and how you're connecting with this universe and with this awareness of everything in life. Because this knowing is, to me, in this other deck, that psychic card. This is like not a right or wrong. It is like certainly something that is getting through, that what they call it light, love and light. These are basically the other dimension messages. These are abilities to sort of like look at something, and even though to somebody this looks like an apple, others are going to start seeing these connections, like clairvoyance. And I think this is what you guys will be having. And there's like no wonder that this is year number 11. So for you guys, this shouldn't be a biggie. You're Pisces, as I said, you are already transitioning. You have already conquered the message of Aquarians, sign 11, which we are like dealing with this year. And you remember somewhere on your cellular level how to access this data bank of knowledge. So for example, if you meet a new person and somebody is a temptation, and remember how things in the past ended, remember that it was not win-win situation, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? If it's not worth it, and if it is worth it, how will you go differently this time around? Because this is telling me you guys are really living your karma. You're definitely transitioning into something new. You're getting rid of your karmic debt. Because check this card out, and I'm going to zoom it in for you if I can figure out where I put my mouse. Oh, there it is. Let me do that. Is this going to, there you go. Look at all these things that we accumulate. And you see this like little crescent moon. There's like something new, but look at this womb over here. It just like needs to transform. It needs to transform to something so much better, because look how unhappy people are here, and look how prominent and happy and successful they are here. So we are all living lives. We are all learning lessons throughout our lives, and we are coming to the surface as, again, learning another lesson. You guys have those antennas, as I said, that are antennas of sensitivity, your water sign, and as far as like your goodbye sign on the passage, you are going in the next cycle. This is again number 9. These two cards are highly connecting and asking you to go into this next cycle, but not before you find yourself. And this is definitely telling you you're blessed. You're definitely going into this cycle 11. This is that healing. And look at this, give and take exchange. And again, was this 3 cards that you got the same motive. Her crown chakra, and from the above, you're getting the psychic messages. The healing, guys, is arriving for you. Whatever it was broken in your fabric, call it fabric, call it health, call it life, call it relationship, call it whatever is not working, wherever you figure out, oh my freaking God, when am I going to get a break? It's going to be switching right now. You have to allow it to switch. You have to allow it to happen. The Tower is not a fun experience, I'm not going to lie to you. This is like where you keep living and doing the same things and expecting different results, always blaming God, other people for the results we get. Until it just gets to you, wait a minute, I've got to try things differently. So you have to figure out, guys, what you did in the past that somehow did not give you results you wanted. You are definitely opening up. You are going to be jumping on board in a very methodical level. Earth sign, 3 of Pentacles, check them out. They're like sitting in front of this hole, and the little mouse have no chance. But this is about teamwork. And if they don't group themselves together, if they don't, you see how different this is from this card? It's almost the same. Only thing here, all 3 should win. This is that card of kind of merging together its expertise. If this is work, guys, then you, especially those of you who are working in creative professions, are going to really have a huge advancement. Or if you're looking for a job, I think you probably will be able to say that you'll be getting a job this month or this period of time. Something that is really fulfilling. If you actually really want to go to the next level, go for it, right? It's going to be something that is going to start a new life for you. But as I said, the old patterns and old things kind of like need to be completed. Old business has to be worked on. You may have to make a conscious decision just to close this door and kind of like figuring out what works for you. Maybe this simply means speak your truths, because these cards usually to me are also center cards, and you will be getting this download of messages. What it means, that means when you sleep, in sleep, you're going to be getting some dreams that will be telling you feelings. In a dream, you're going to be observing a dream just like an observer. You know, I don't know how many of you know the Einstein theory, right? But sort of like they had this like, experiment, double slit experiment. It was the board with simply 2 vertical slits in it. And they would be just like pushing like stuff through it. Without going into sort of details of physics to explain to you, it was kind of like really interesting because all of this, like, well, sort of like just imagine that you had the little balls, even though they were like little kind of atoms and they were like minuscule, you couldn't see them. But you can as well translate it into the, like, you're pushing these little balls. So when you push the little ball through the slit, on the other side, on the other back wall, it would just form, of course, the vertical line, because it goes through a vertical line and just like ends over there as well. Interesting thing happened when they put something that they called an observer. And an observer was literally a station that was like now monitoring to see how that goes through this double slit. And all of a sudden, just regular thing that you think it kind of works normally would go through this entrance. And instead of having like 2 vertical lines, it formed a whole bunch of lines, basically a wave pattern. So the matter all of a sudden started to work out and act like a water. So observer has a huge impact. And this is the whole theory of God. This is the whole theory of who we really are. Right now, guys, it's asking of you to be observer to yourself. So when you go to sleep, observe your dreams, just so that way you're actually impacting and changing that, doing the same thing, you know. But you will stop doing it in the same way. You're actually going in a repair mode this time around. Repair of something that has been going on for who knows how many lives, guys. It is a time to turn this card around and to start turning this card around, because they'll happen. And what you need to work with is absolutely a jealousy. Especially if you're a lady listening to this. There is the pattern that is underlying that has to go. It has to kind of like open up. Maybe you felt fear. Maybe this jealousy is more or less just like fear of losing someone, and hence it kind of like reacts this way. But you're not supposed to love that way, and it cannot last if you're holding somebody in a birdcage. Because this card, 8 of Swords, because look at this kitty, it's like blindfolded and stuck in this like crown of the tree. Like, imagine how difficult this would be. Like, they're squeamish at the best of the times. And right now, like, she has to climb down, which would be really hard even without the blindfold on. But it certainly would help removing the blindfold, which I think you're doing. You're exactly looking at this kind of things in a completely different perspective, speaking your own words, and you'll be getting lots of messages that will be helping you this time around. Let me just see the energies around. So it would be 7, 12, 15, 16, 17, 25, 7. So again, you're going in the Tower energy. So, and Tower, it's also Chariot energy. So this is 7 and 21, 28, 1. So yeah, you have 7s and 1s. So this is what has to happen. You need to clear certain things that didn't work. It might be hard. You kind of like have to rip everything apart to rebuild, but it's worth it. This is just simply saying, you maybe the sweater with the holes in there, it's not easy fix. It's not easy just to put a band-aid and put a few stitches in there. Maybe you just have to change this entire sleeve. So you have to look into what is in your life that maybe is currently causing temptation, and the temptation is leading you on the path where you're meeting partners who somehow evoke jealousy in you. And it's maybe not even something they do. It's not maybe something that you do. It's like simply that chemistry of this basic situation. So try to be that observer of your own situation and see where this leads. And let's see, like for the closing, what's about this card, Bone Collector, which is the number 1. And again, 1, 1, basically a 0. There is like this new cycle that you're actually being pushed into it. And it's like kind of really exciting. New cycle where you actually do have a true love, where you have somebody who really wants to work with you, wants to build a relationship with you, with whom you can express your true feelings, and you don't have to like wrap yourself around them. it is just like you have to open basically your arms and allow yourself to do that. Nobody's perfect, and you guys know that more than anybody else, because you're sweet and you're always like working on that emotional kind of like softness. But you have to understand that at times you also need a soft place to fall. So let's see, Bone Collector. It says, interestingly enough, you're whole and have everything you need within. When the Bone Collector appears, she's asking you to look closely at your circumstances to see if you're fully present or reacting out of past conditioning and unconscious expectations. Whenever we are wounded, especially when we are young, it is as if something essential is stolen from us. We adapt and accept a particular version of the truth. Then this sets us up to behave a certain way in the future when faced with a situation that reminds us of the original event. Your past lives. What we know about ourselves thus becomes influenced by a perception of limitation. You may feel unworthy or without courage. You may see yourself as flawed or unlovable, or expect to be criticized. No matter what you are up to, the Bone Collector reminds you that the truth is that you are a powerful being with limitless possibilities. She has kept safe what was stolen from you in the wounding, and it's here for you as you reclaim it now. You have everything you believe you lack, and the Bone Collector is your inner resource. Act as if you already have what you need, and you will find that you have it after all. Anything is possible. With awareness, the wounds of the past need not define you. And I think that like beautifully summarizes this entire reading. So my dear Pisces, just do the work, and you are going to have amazing blessings and new starts that are going to be extremely emotionally rewarding. Just think of this time as a rebuild and repair. Love you. Be good, and please love, share, like, and join me on my Facebook and Instagram. All the best.